What is up? Welcome back to our channel. Once again, it's me, your bearded bro, QuickSilver 15, back with another video. And today we'll be reviewing a movie we didn't even know we wanted, let alone deserve. And of course, it's none other than Batman. And straight off the bat, pun intended, I really believe this movie is super underhyped. That they didn't do enough marketing for it because, well, we'll get to that later. But yeah, it's definitely, I feel, underhyped. So the Batman is essentially the reboot of the whole Batman character. I believe, in the DCEU, since Ben Affleck's future as a Batman is left hanging because of some issues with the company and whatever. So yeah, we have a completely new Batman, and actually there was an opening sequence before the movie showing all the Justice League members, of course including Aquaman, The Flash, of course Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and they are all the same cast as in Zack Snyder's Justice League, except they added Robert Pattinson's Batman into the whole real type thing. So I guess that's the big answer, that they're changing the Batman character in the DCEU. So this Batman, the Batman, takes some inspiration from, well, a lot of different Batman comics. First of all is Batman Year 1 and Year 2, but more specifically Batman Year 2, because in that comics it sort of shows Batman, still wet behind the ears, still learning the ropes, and actually making a lot of mistakes. And that was a really refreshing take on Batman. And of course, also an important character in this story is Commissioner Gordon, who is also just starting out. Well, not starting out, but in the earlier years of his career as a commissioner. So both of them are trying to figure out their place in Gotham City. Of course, another inspiration for the Batman is Long Halloween, where Batman, along with Catwoman, well, they are trying to track down a serial killer. And in this case, they replaced that serial killer with an awesome pick. Actually, I would never have thought that this particular character would be an awesome villain, especially how he was portrayed in a lot of the comics as kind of a Joker ripoff. But in this rendition of the character, they definitely leveled him up quite a bit. And of course, that is none other than the Riddler, and he's just an awesome character in this movie. They kind of made him into a serial killer-ish, modeled after, of course, one of the most notorious serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, who also likes to leave ciphers and clues and essentially riddles in his crime scenes, kind of taunting the police and, of course, in this case, Batman as well, to come and find him. And it's a race against time on who can outsmart who. And yeah, it's just an awesome take to the story, and I believe that it's quite a unique take on the character, specifically since no other Batman live action movie has ever portrayed Batman as an actual detective, except of course this one. Around 80% of the movie is Batman detecting stuff. He's in crime scenes, he's actually following leads to the crime. Unlike, of course, Nolan's Nolan Nolan Nolan's Batman with Christian Bale, and of course we have Tim Burton's Batman, which was kind of a more cartoonish version of Batman. But in their versions, Batman would just, you know, be in the Batcave, type in some stuff in the Bat computer, and problem solved. He knows the answer. So in this, he actually used his brain a lot, and you know, tried to piece the answers together, and it was awesome. And I believe that in this version, they truly pushed him as the world's greatest detective, and that's very awesome because that's why a lot of fans are in love with Batman in the first place, because he doesn't always fight super high level criminals, right? He doesn't have any superpowers, and in this movie that is just set in the forefront. And you know, it sounds not awesome, but they did it and it's freaking awesome. So yeah, that's I have more to say about that, but yeah, it's also in terms of gear, he doesn't have any, you know, high tech gear, you know, like of course in the Nolan he has like a full arsenal of stuff. Well, in this he has some, but the most, I think, high tech thing he had in this series, in this movie, is they actually, I don't think it's a spoiler, but he had like a camera in his eyes that he uses to, you know, film everything that happens throughout his crime fighting days, and so he can rewatch it later. So I don't know, I'm on the fence about that aspect, because in the comics Batman has a photographic memory, so I don't think he would have needed that. But they kind of used it as a plot element with Catwoman, so yeah, I guess it's fine. So this movie is kind of not a superhero movie. It feels more like a buddy cop movie, and I love it because Jim Gordon has just such a big role. He is actually helping Batman, and yeah, Batman messes up a lot. So again, this is only his second year of crime fighting. I would have loved to see actually the year one version of this, but you know, year two isn't too far off as well. But yeah, he's making a lot of mistakes. He's still kind of young, and it makes sense. You know, in Christian Bale's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman, at some point, you know, you kind of have to get over your dead parents' trauma. Come on, you're a grown-ass man. But here, it's actually kind of just ripe. He's kind of mid-20s or something like that, still kind of growing out of his angsty adolescent phase. And I think Batman is like an identity crisis type move he did. You know, he became Batman because he was having an identity crisis. Oh, how could I forget? Just a side note, there are particular scenes where you're seeing the Batman logging his mental state, so he's actually kind of afraid that he would break mentally, and that's awesome. That's an awesome, it's a little detail that they put there, and it's just amazing because Gotham, oh, not to mention Gotham City in this movie is very much alive. I love the shots they did. It's not just a generic city. You know, if you remember the Dark Knight series, Gotham looks like an ordinary city, right? But in the Batman, it actually looks like its own thing. It has its own flavor. It has its own denizens. They just showed a lot of that. Sadly, it's all condensed to the first part, and actually they just focused on a lot of more generic locations near the end, but at the first part, Gotham's world building was just so beautiful. I wish we had more, and hopefully we get more of that in the future Batman films, because yeah, their direction they're going with the Batman is actually pretty interesting. Another character that was just a star in this series is, of course, Kravitz. Surprisingly, is the stepdaughter of Jason Momoa. That's just an awesome side note. She was very awesome as Catwoman. No offense to Anne Hathaway, but she just looks like the comic book, and it actually feels like the comic book version of Catwoman. And damn, I'm not sure if I'm on the fence of this, but their first actual meeting was just so there's an air of sexual energy between them, and it was awesome. Yeah, so they're kind of in each other's faces right at the beginning of their meeting, and yeah, they developed such a unique relationship throughout the film as well. And Catwoman is actually not just some damsel in distress, and although Anne Hathaway's Catwoman is pretty awesome as well, I think Kravitz just set the bar higher, and that is, I think, the tone of this movie. Although Nolan's Dark Knight is still a great and awesome movie, the Batman just stepped up just that little bit higher. It pushed to the next level essentially. And another point to this is the cinematography alone, the colors. It's very much like a graphic novel. Each or most, like 80% of the scenes is just like art. It's just an amazing frame, and it's just such beautiful eye candy. And well, let me show you this one thing. So I have this Batman illustration. It's of course not the Batman, it's Batman Beyond, but yeah, they follow a lot of this color scheme, a lot of reds and blacks, and of course that's not unique to Batman Beyond. Again, Batman Year 2, the front cover itself is just black and red, which is awesome. And again, they used it in such beautiful effect, and again, just eye candy all around. And the story, the world that engulfs it is just amazing as well. Again, Gotham is just set up to be just this breeding ground, or of, you kind of get how these characters, how Gotham gave birth to characters such as this, both the heroes and the villains. Speaking of villains, the Riddler, again, I can't stress this enough, was such a relatable villain. And you know, I kind of wish that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is just in the same universe, but even if it's not, there is this Riddler character who just takes up that spot, because he is also kind of born from the system, and he actually also develops this cult following because of, you know, again, Gotham City just breeds characters like this. And at this point, like the Batman, Riddler kind of feels like what he's doing is good, and he's like a vigilante in himself, although his means are just, you know, evil and psychotic in a way. So yeah, there is this thin line that divides both Batman and the Riddler, and that's an awesome comparison, or an awesome dynamic between the two characters. Another super interesting character. This movie is Cobblepot. Finally, we get a comic book accurate version of the Penguin in the big screen. No offense to the Tim Burton version, but we kind of prefer our Penguin not eating fish and not having black blood or, you know, like penguin fingers. That was just a whole weird thing. It's still kind of pretty cool, but yeah. He is a comic book accurate representation of the Penguin as a gangster. Of course, this movie is essentially also a mob film. It dwells deep into Gotham's criminal underworld, and again, this film just humanizes Batman quite a lot, dealing with real-world problems and actually being a detective, being useful to the citizens of Gotham, while also being an awesome vigilante. So another really cool thing I can say about this film is the music. Of course, Batman has an official theme song in this movie, and it's pretty cool. Kind of reminiscent of the Imperial March of Darth Vader. Well, the first few notes, it goes like dun dun dun, and then deeper notes, and well, actually, they're kind of similar in character, but it just gives such an ominous feel to the character, and it just gives this sense of mystery to the Batman. And yeah, again, not a lot of movies pull off these kind of epic theme songs for their characters. Other notable shows would be like The Mandalorian or The Avengers. They kind of have really cool songs that accompany their entrances, and that's awesome. And now we have Batman, and I hope they use it for the next films because it's really, really cool. And I think it's gonna be one of those iconic Batman music things, you know, like how Superman has his own theme song. Now Batman has his own, and I think it will be used for a long time to come. There are only quite a few flaws I can nitpick from this movie. One of them is actually at one scene Batman just felt like a weird stalker type character, but you know, you can kind of say that he was doing his detective work, but still it was creepy and it was very stalkery. And what else? Well, you know, there was this one scene where, why would you do that? You know, when you would think, why would you even do that? Why wouldn't you just run or something like that? So yeah, there are kind of a lot of weak points, but again, there are a lot of fun moments as well when you see Batman just mess up, because you always see Batman, for example, in Christian Bale or Ben Affleck. He's really well built, super smart, he can get out of any situation, and well, he does still here, but not without, you know, sacrificing a rib or two. And that's just, again, that is a very unique take. So if anything else, this Batman is actually a fresh take on the Cape Crusader. And although, again, Nolan's Batman will always be top tier, but I believe the Batman just steps up just that little bit, because I think the Batman is the best representation of the Batman we'll ever get so far, until I guess the Batman 2. Hopefully they don't fumble and they continue the great storytelling and building Gotham. And it's just such a great movie when everything comes together. Awesome cast. Actually, a lot of people were worried about Robert Pattinson, but again, you know, you can't blame the man for starring in Twilight forever. He did a lot of awesome movies after that, winning like Sundance Awards or whatnot. Awesome cast, awesome music, world building, the villain, just the cinematography, Just everything was just so beautiful and dark and gritty. And again, it's just the Batman movie that we needed to see in our generation. And again, I believe this movie isn't hyped enough, so if you weren't planning to see it, I hope this review changed your mind, because it's definitely one of the best comic book movies I've seen so far. Like, even better than most movies Marvel makes, and definitely the best, or one of the best, if not the best, DC EU movie we've seen so far. So with that said, we're giving The Batman a great 9 out of 10. So what do you guys think? Have you seen The Batman? Comment down below what you think of the movie. And as always, it's me, your bearded bro, QuickSilver 15, signing off. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and notify button so you'll be notified of our next video. Peace!